We're now joined by the Minister, Dr. Motsoaledi. Thank you for being with us, Minister. If I may, can I first ask you, in fact, about KwaZulu-Natal, because we've been following the situation closely there. I'm sure you have been too. And one of the concerns is people not only lose their homes, their businesses, but important documentation. Is Home Affairs thinking about any special assistance for the people of KwaZulu-Natal?
Indeed, Francis, good evening, and good evening to the listeners and the viewers. Indeed, it so happens that it's not for the first time that Home Affairs does what you are asking us, because you are aware that there have been a lot of fires, especially in informal settlements, which burn the whole settlement together with IDs. So we have already established a system, and we have got a team that specializes in that. When everything is settled, we will rush there and give them the document, because we are aware that, yes, indeed, many will have lost documents.
All right, then let's talk about this syndicate at OR Tambo International. How did you find out about this syndicate? And just give us a little bit of insight into their modus operandi.
Yes, Francis, just before COVID, this was picked up by customs, by SARS. You know, when you go out of the airport, you go through immigration, and your passport is stamped, then you are allowed in. From there, you go to customs, where they may or may not decide to check your luggage. It was during the check of this luggage when SARS discovered people who are supposed to be coming into the country from Bangladesh, but they went through immigration without any document, without anything being stamped. They were sent back to the head of Home Affairs at OR Tambo, because we have got the head of airport there, and he discovered that indeed something is wrong. From there, we've been observing, and we formed JOG, a joint team with SARS, Hawks, the airport company, and many other law enforcement agencies. We worked with them to observe this syndicate. And during COVID, we realized that there's a bit of a lull, but now it has picked up again. That's why we thought we have gathered enough information to arrest. That's why we arrested today. Basically, this is how the syndicate work. The kingpin, who is a Bangladeshi official, recruit a runner in Bangladesh, who recruits people who don't have the required documents to come to South Africa. I think in this case is visas. But they travel on the passports of their country, but they've got no visas, meaning they are not allowed to enter South Africa. But they get recruited anyway, and they pay 110,000 rand each to the kingpin. Then the kingpin provide them the map of the airport, and they come into South Africa using that map, and they say, no, we are in transit, we are not coming to South Africa. Many of them said, no, we are going to Eswatini. And we started seeing a rise of people who claim to go to Eswatini. Of course, they go to the transit lounge. You are aware that when you are in the transit lounge, you are not in South Africa, so we can't travel you. But they wait and sit there in the transit lounge. When the airport is not busy, somebody gives them a signal and show them the counter where they must go, where this corrupt official is. Then they go through that counter and they enter readily into South Africa, because that official is not going to check anything. And we were surprised when we found that the official has actually even recruited cleaners, because some of them were found in this, you know, these wheeled rubbish bins at the airport. You'll find that there is a Bangladeshi who is being wheeled out of the airport through that. When you actually think people are going on their everyday work of cleaning, they are actually wheeling somebody illegally into the country. And so that's why we have observed them, and we believe we had enough evidence today to arrest the South African immigration officer who running this scheme together with the Bangladeshi.
Wow. Do you believe it's only one immigration officer? Could there be more arrests, or can we take heart that there's one rogue and not every immigration officer is involved?
Well, we can't claim there is only one, but that's the one we have observed over all this period. And while we are taking heart, but we are worried that even cleaners, drivers, and the ground staff are involved in this scam. And the guy get paid 60,000 rand for every person they smuggle in. Remember, the Bangladeshi kingpin is paid 110,000, and he pays 60,000 rand to this official who shares it with all the other people who are working with him. So we believe it's a whole lot of people who are going to be arrested. We just arrested this one today to be able to establish how many more people. But we have got a fairer idea, of course, that you are not working alone. So many more are still going to be arrested at the airport itself.
Yeah. And I mean, if this operation has been running for a while, how many Bangladeshi nationals could have entered the country illegally? When we think of illegal entries, we often think of the ground border posts or the people jumping fences, etc. But maybe if people are coming from Bangladesh, could other countries be running similar syndicates? Could this be huge? Do you have any idea of the numbers potentially coming by air?
You know, Francis, it's not easy to come illegally by air into South Africa. It's not easy, and I'll tell you why. And you are right. Most people who come here illegally is by jumping a land border fence. By air it's not easy because we have got a very important legacy project, World Cup legacy project. During the World Cup, Homa first established this, a 24-hour service coordinating center, which is called APP, Advanced Passenger System. When you leave any part of the world, before the aircraft gets into the air, they must give us a list of all the passengers in that aircraft. Then we check if there's any passenger of interest or there's anybody who doesn't have the required documents to come into South Africa. Sometimes the airlines take chances when they realize the plane is going to be empty. They bring them in, hoping for the best. Once we catch them, we charge each airline 15,000 rand per passenger who has come here illegally. And we turn them back. We send them in the transit lounge. They wait for the nearest flight of that particular aircraft to fly them back at their own cost. So that we've been doing. So since we noticed this thing just before COVID, we have been watching the Bangladeshi and turning them back. But while we are watching the officials also, in order to get enough evidence for a conviction. So many of them, the airport officials or the job committee, sometimes even went to the aircraft to grab them, those who are from Bangladesh, lead them into the transit lounge and fly them back before they even go to the immigration counter. But now this time we said, okay, let's allow them to go to the immigration counter so that we see this guy in action, so that we arrest him. So many of them rode this. Many of these companies have been doing. Have been playing. We are actually watching. We want to investigate exactly the airlines. What was their role in this whole scam?
All right, Minister, we were losing you a little bit there. Technology not aiding us, but we got most of that answer and all your earlier answers as well. Thank you very much, Home Affairs Minister Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi.